The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests.
What's going on, my Go Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast Live. This is episode number 346. Today's date, for the record, is Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. We are live on YouTube, as always, streaming to over 150 countries worldwide. And we're also streaming over there on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, to maybe 2 people. So we're trying to grow the numbers on X. We'll see what happens. If you're out in the live chat, say something. We don't know that you're out there unless you do. If you want to text into the show, yes, you can text into the show. Utilize the Ghost Tactical Hotline presented by our good friends over at Wilder Tactical. Holy cow, I'm trying to think of who it was. Wilder Tactical. I'm having a day, folks. I'm having a day. That phone number is 530-364-4678. And go check out our good friends over at wildertactical.com. Great company, great friends, great gear. They've got the best battle belts, war belts, duty belts, whatever you want to call them out there. They've got med kits. They got all sorts of gear that you could really, really enjoy. If you're a nerd like I am when it comes to gear, check out wildertactical.com. If you're a veteran, really anybody, but especially if you're a veteran and you're in that hole, you're in that darkness and you're looking for the light, call me, text me, email me 24/7. I cannot give you medical advice, although I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express once, but I might be able to be a pretty decent ear to, walk you through some stuff. More importantly, I could be there to listen to you. If you are looking to get some medical attention, remember 2 things. 1, you are not alone in this fight. You have a lot of brothers out here that are willing and able to help you in any way possible. And 2, the world is a much better place with you in it. So please utilize the Veteran Crisis Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Once again, 1-800-273-8255. Veterans, press the number 1. We are spotlighting, as always, the United States Marine Corps. If you have any questions on what it takes to earn the title of United States Marine, see the website marines.com. And as always, we're proud members of the Self-Defense Radio Network and the Firearms Radio Network. So go check out all your favorite pro-gun, pro-2A podcasts over at selfdefenseradio.net and firearmsradio.net. Let's get this off of my ugly mug and say hello to the merry band of morons for this week. Hey, get your thing in. Y'all are so weird. From Anderson Manufacturing, we have the man, the myth, the legend, if you will. What's up, Kyle? How you doing, buddy?
Nothing much, Trey. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Always, brother. Always. What's going on at Anderson? You guys still burning the midnight oil? I know you got the new CEOs there, and Jennifer's there, the new marketing director, and
oh yeah,
everyone's hitting the ground running, I'm assuming.
That is correct, which makes for a busy life of a Kyle. But I like that. Yeah. I like that kind of stuff. So, but it is exciting, and like I told you, I tell you all the time, you just feel the energy coming off these guys as they come in and they're like taking the seat, man, and it just gets you, kind of rebirths you a little bit, revamps that energy, that fire inside of you. So. Absolutely. Pretty excited. As of recent, the big thing I've been working on is making sure our booth's squared away because we're excited to be at Goals in August here.
Y'all even upgraded to a pretty big booth, if I'm not mistaken. Did you not?
Biggest booth in Anderson manufacturing history. I hate to brag, but
that's pretty awesome. Are you guys? Now, I guess with that, you guys have to almost like kind of completely start a design for a booth. I mean, there's really no template for it yet for you guys, is there?
Well, kind of. It's still the same length, so we're going to bring what we bring to SHOT Show to Goals, but we got a little bit
some
extra
more room.
we got more real estate up front, so that does give us some room to play with, like some rifle stands, maybe some more pistol stands. I don't know. Maybe a specialized Pony Express stand. I don't know, guys.
You're gonna have to go to Knoxville to find out.
That's 100% correct. And they just won the College World Series.
Yeah,
I hate to say that as a Kentucky fan, but
now, see, like we're SEC, Arkansas and Kentucky, and I actually not well, but I got to know Tony Vitello, the Tennessee coach there, for a little bit a few years back when he was still at Arkansas, and really good guy. Really happy for him. I really like Slosh. My wife really likes Slosh, the head coach at A&M, but it's A&M, so I cannot pull for A&M. So. So I'm happy for Tennessee and all that. So, yeah, good for them. It's a great series.
We love to trade coaches.
Yeah, 5 years in a row, the SEC's won the College World Series. Just saying. Would be 6 had Arkansas not dropped the foul ball in 2018 to end the game against Oregon State. They would have been national champions in 2018. It would have been 6 years in a row, but I digress.
Who's keeping up with it?
Just people in Arkansas. Just people in Arkansas. That's all it is. No. Good having you on. I know that we'll get into anything new with Anderson you want to pass along before we jump to Gingerbread House.
I am working my little butt off on some Independence Day sale stuff, so be on the lookout. But other than that, man, the hot ticket item around here is goals. So that's what the main thing we're working on right now.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to see everybody and see the new booth in August for sure.
Yeah,
we're less than 2 months away, bro.
Yeah, and Ginger keeps teasing us with these little panels he keeps throwing up. It gets better and better each time. So
yeah, I know one person's waiting to see his name on a panel, but yeah, we'll see.
I think I know who you're talking about.
You think? Speaking of which, standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona, such a fine sight to see. It's a Ginger, my lord, and a flatbed Ford from the Gun Owners of America and Fully Loaded Reviews. We have John, the Ginger Soulless Bastard. What's up, homie?
What's up, brother? Tuesday. I just realized the show's on Tuesday, so we just got to keep doing it. Tuesday.
Special people.
Special teams, special players.
That's right. So, yeah. Stan, what's up, Stan from SS Pawns? Just dropped in for a little while and dropping a thumbs up. Well, I appreciate you can drop a thumbs down. It's what it is. Probably deserves it, but we'll see. So what's going on with 2A Tuesday from the GOA, man?
So I can't remember. Did we talk Rahimi last week?
No, I don't think we did.
No, Rahimi dropped. Unfortunately, that is a I wouldn't say
me or is he roboting?
I will say it's kind of a win, and it's kind of sad to see it go the way it did. It was even. So, am I roboting? Am I good?
You were for a second. You're fine now. Yeah.
Am I good now?
Okay. Yep, you're good.
So we had 8-1. Unfortunately, it's like I said, it's the watering down a little bit of Bruin. We'll see how it affects the lower courts, but unfortunately, there was a not so good guy in Rahimi who was going to this case, and it didn't go in our favor. We got the bump stocks, but we didn't get the Rahimi ruling, and we also we got the Schumer bump stock ban stopped in the House, so or in the Senate, which was also a big win. So
I didn't. I mean, I'm not. I never thought that was going to make it to the floor for a vote. I really didn't. Yeah. But
And then in other news, like Kyle said, we made news.
New news.
New news. We made we made our announcement of the Firearms Technology and Innovations panel yesterday, or the other day. That includes Pete Brownell, Jamin McCullum from Palmetto State Armory, David Burgess, and if you don't know who David is, he's the founder and former owner of P80, and he now owns Matador Arms.
Matador was he's at Matador now.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was the founder of P80, honestly.
Yeah. Adam Renola from Canic,
Oh,
Jason Koloski from Watchtower, and Jeremy Deadman from X-Tac Tactical. And the moderator is yours truly.
I saw the picture of you trying to be all hard kitted up with someone else's kit, by the way.
It was somebody else's kit. All right. Come on now. It's what I had.
I understand. That's a pretty good panel. How did Adam get on there? I'm just saying.
I mean, I needed an importer, and Adam's the marketing guy. So
no, I
Adam just had. But I think between Pete and Jamin, I think they're going to steal, and Jason, I think they're going to steal the show. It'll be a good. I think Jeremy's going to add some stuff. Jeremy's done a lot of stuff in the industry. He actually called me when I told him about the panel, and he's like, I need to be on this.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, let me see what I can do. So it's going to be an interesting panel. A lot of big names there. And then breaking news off of LinkedIn.
Breaking news. Here we go.
Off of LinkedIn, there may have been a leak on something about a Pony Express, August 2024. Now, I can't confirm this. We don't know who leaked it. But according to LinkedIn, there was a comment that said there was a leak of the Pony Express. So we'll see if this is true or not. It says August 2024. Well, we'll see. I'm going to hold my breath.
Confirm nor deny. And I think Kyle just got a phone call from Mr. Anderson going, what the hell? I'm just saying, if that happens, talking about the steal and the story of the show, wouldn't that just be amazing?
Oh, I'd be happier than a pig in mud. You know,
all I got to say is just keep your eyes on Anderson Social.
There we go.
No.
You
never know.
In other goals news, we added some companies today, including Gunbroker.
Okay.
Now my brain's blanking. Gunbroker is one of them. Thrill Inc. is another one.
What's that?
I can't remember exactly what
they do. Magazines and like AR components.
Oh, okay.
So Thrill jumped on. Memorial 3 Gun, CanCon and Recoil jumped on. And the big news, which has not been announced yet, which just found out today, you guys are the first ones to know, is Gearhead Works is going to be there. And Gearhead Works is bringing something they normally only bring to SHOT Show.
No.
Yes.
I think I know what it is.
So.
Is it a fun game?
No. Yeah, it's something that you get to sit in. They did bring it to TriggerCon, but it's something you get to sit in.
Something we won't get to, but some people get to drive.
It right now it's in a state where it's not drivable anymore.
But it is, in theory, something you could drive. I think I know what you're talking about.
In theory, you could drive it.
In theory.
I mean, I heard there was a big hubbubaloo about a dog in this thing.
Yeah, I heard that somebody used something for a movie prop, or I don't know. Some Russians were involved or something.
All I know is that this is going to be explosive, so we need to light the wick and get this started.
Well played.
And so that is official as of this afternoon. The owner, Paul, called me.
Oh,
and so
they're going to put in the trailer and bring it with them?
Yeah. So
awesome.
It'll be announced, but it'll be something of memorable. It'll be a memorable experience for those
Speaking of the Pony Express, that could also be a way of describing this in a way.
Yeah. It could be a Pony Express.
Be a Pony if it was running.
Yes, if it was running. It's a rolling chassis right now. You don't be this one. But it's real. I'm really excited about it.
And in case people live under a rock and aren't sure what the hell we're talking about, the John Wick Mustang from the first John Wick car will be at Goals, and they bring it to Shaw. They did bring it to TurriCon, didn't they?
Yeah.
But I mean, it was right there below you guys at the very base of the stairs. But it's all shot to hell. It's the car. It's the prop car that was in John Wick. So I mean, it's pretty badass. They had it at NRAM too, I believe.
No, not this year.
Last year at Indy they had it at NRAM.
Yeah.
In Indy they had it at NRAM. That's right.
Because Indy's the best NRAM. They should just keep
right.
it.
It is. Let's just be. I wish they would just make it the permanent home. I'd be okay with that.
John, this Goals is shaping up to be pretty freaking awesome, man.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited about it. I mean, between the panels and the companies and Anderson or whoever it was said that they were releasing a Pony Express. You know, we haven't confirmed that yet.
It has not been confirmed. No.
Cannot confirm, but
or deny it.
Or denied.
Never deny it, you know.
You just have to go to Knoxville in August.
Yeah, just got to go to Knoxville in August. Now, I will say this because Gary emailed me earlier. If you applied for media and have already been approved and received a secondary email that went out to everybody, so you don't need to worry about it. There was a secondary email sent out to everybody to encourage more media guys to come out. So if you were on that list, you were re-invited again, so you're good to go. So if anybody got that,
there you go.
So
sounds good. Well, thanks for coming on. You guys know that every Thursday, Saturday, and Monday at 10 a.m. over on our YouTube community tab, we have our pony polls. Let's go have a good time and see what's happening over there. So, some of you might know that last week, baseball, I'm a huge baseball guy. Baseball lost. All three of us in this room are actually baseball guys, but lost one of the all-time greats. And the Say Hey kid, Willie Mays, died. And he was, I wouldn't say by everyone, but the vast majority of people that are baseball people widely considered him at the time the greatest living player ever. And he is no longer with us and all of that. So I put a poll up yesterday and I said, now, who is the greatest living baseball player? Now, I'm not smart. You guys understand that. Most of you know this about me. But I am smarter than a lot of people that left comments because they're still naming like Babe Ruth and all these people. Like Babe Ruth died in 1948, okay? He hadn't been living for a long time. They don't understand the word living, apparently. But we had 1.2 thousand people that did vote. We gave you 4 choices to make it easier for you. Your choices were Barry Bonds, Pete Rose. Now, I didn't go pitchers. I went like position players / hitters. We might do a pitchers thing maybe next week. But this one was Barry Bonds, Pete Rose, Ken Griffey Jr., and I threw a little curveball. And Ricky Henderson, because I don't think people appreciate Ricky Henderson for what he did for the game. So I'm going to start with Kyle and say, of those 4, Bonds, Rose, Griffey Jr., or Henderson, who is the greatest living baseball player? And I know that you would probably vote someone else if they were on the list. Another red, maybe.
I'm going to say Pete Rose.
Well, you're right, obviously.
I'm going to say Pete Rose. It's tough for me because Ken Griffey Jr. is also a Cincinnati kid.
He is a Cincinnati kid, and his dad
was big time.
Senior was big time Cincinnati guy.
Yeah,
I want to say that Junior retired as a Red, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. Tough decision for me though, because like we were talking about before the show, Barry Bonds, even before the roids, was probably the best, most well-rounded player. It's tough, dude. It's tough.
I say that Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before roids. Barry Bonds is an incredible baseball player. Did he do steroids? And see, I'm not the guy that says that roids don't deserve to be. That they're all the roids era guys. I'm not that, because I put it this way: Barry Bonds was one of the best hitters ever to play the game before the roids. All the roids did is upped his home run numbers probably a lot. But here's the thing: you still got to be a damn good hitter to do what he did. And he was hitting over 300. He was like 6, 7, or 8 years in a row in Pittsburgh, 30-30. Only person ever to do it. I mean, Barry Bonds was amazing. Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. is ironically his godfather was Willie Mays. I don't know if people know that. But Ken Griffey Jr. was probably the second coming of Willie Mays. Built a lot like Willie, played center field like Willie, hit like Willie. Like he was like, if there was anyone you sit there and say, like, who's the next Willie Mays? It was Ken Griffey Jr. He was incredible. And then Ricky Henderson. A lot of people don't know who Ricky Henderson is. Ricky Henderson was a leadoff guy for the A's in the 70s. Went to the Yankees in the 80s and late 80s, early 90s. Went back to Oakland. I got to see them get swept in 1990 by the Reds. I was at Game 2 of Cincinnati's Oakland World Series. Right after, I think that Game 1, Kyle, if I'm not mistaken, is when went to extra innings and Bates had that game-winning hit in like the 11th inning. In Game 1, I was at Game 2 of the World Series in '90, where and all that. So I got to see Game 2 in Cincinnati.
They show that documentary before every game.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I think his name was it was Bates, Danny Bates or Billy Bates or something like that. He's the one that he's the guy that only had like 6 at bats all season and got the game winning hit in extra innings of Game 1. I was like, who the hell is it? Is this guy on the roster?
Yeah.
And but no,
I'll say I think Ken Griffey out of all those guys probably has the most iconic swing. Like you could probably watch his swing and be like, yeah, it's Ken Griffey. And it's just
it's probably and Griffey probably has, honestly, he's probably a top 3 most beautiful swings in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Just swings. Beautiful. I think Will Clark had a really pretty swing also. But yeah, Griffey was, man, what a beautiful swing. So you're going Petey. That's a good answer. Ginger, what about you? Of those 4, Bonds, Rose, Griffey, or Henderson? Of those 4, who's the best living baseball player?
You're killing me with these 4.
It's like, that's the whole point.
No, I'm going to say Pete, but the ones that I would have added to this list to replace Henderson would be Ripken.
Okay, I could give you that one.
Tomey.
Jim Tomey? Jim Tomey's not even the great. Jim Tomey's not even the
plus
best.
Home runs.
Stop.
One of the best first basemen ever to play the game.
Stop. You're out of your mind.
Let's see.
Like, what is he, a career 250 hitter?
I don't know. I like him. Tomey, I grew up in Cleveland, so
I'm not saying Tomey's not a good player. And Tomey is, you're talking about the greatest living player?
You're forgetting Reggie Jackson. He's still alive.
Okay. Yeah, he's a lot better than Jim Tomey. I could put Derek Jeter up there. I could put Frank Thomas up there. I could put George Brett up there. I could put Don Mattingly up there. I could put Dave Winfield up there. I could put a lot of people up there.
Griffey,
Albert Pujols, sure. I would never put a Cardinal on there though.
Right.
Now, someone mentioned Ryan Sandberg from the Cubs getting a statue at Wrigley. Not gonna lie, my grandfather was a huge Cub fan growing up. I was a Cub fan as well. And Ryan Sandberg was my favorite Cub. I would be okay. First of all, it's Ryan, R-Y-N-E, Sandberg, not Sandberg with an M. But it's not Ryan, it's Ryan. Sorry, Scott. Just that's my OCD. I got to correct that. But I would put Ryan Sandberg. I would put Andre Dawson as a better first baseman than Jim Tomey. Frank Thomas is a better first baseman than Jim Tomey.
Biggio.
Don Mattingly is a better. I love Biggio. Biggio is not an all-time. He's a Hall of Famer. He is not an all-time great. He's not. I love him, but he's not an all-time great.
Would you
like?
So you agree with me that if you were to redo this,
okay,
and I agree, Henderson is a good choice because all-time
he's the all-time stolen base. I mean, he was the first leadoff guy that like hit home runs. I mean, he changed the leadoff role. But yeah, if I was going to take one off this list, it would be Henderson.
Would you say if you were going to argue it, Rose and Ripken?
Argue what?
Well, okay, Henderson replace him with Ripken, but who's the better player, Ripken or Rose?
I think that Ripken's would still be the fourth best player on that list. I don't think anyone that I don't think anybody that I put up to replace Henderson would be better players than Bonds, Rose, or Griffey. Whoever is in that spot is the number 4 spot. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
You're talking about the all-time hits leader. You're talking about the all-time home runs hitter. And you're talking about the best, maybe one of the top 2 or 3 most all-around best players in junior ever. Like, we're talking literal all-time greats. There's no one that's an all-time great. Ripken's a great player, but aside from playing 20 straight years without missing a game, what stats is he an all-time great at? He's not.
He was
a solid. No one's close to Rose. The only person that's close to Rose is Ty Cobb, and he's been dead for 100 years.
And Pete Rose ain't even in the Hall of Fame.
Cobb's record just got taken away. Didn't you see that?
What are you talking about? Ty Cobb's what record?
They just put the Negro League stats in there too. Now they've replaced all the records.
Oh, well, I mean, Josh Gibson, you could throw him in there as an all-time great. I mean, I would put, I don't know, man. I think Ripken was a hell of a ball player, but Ripken was a solid ball player. But Ripken's not an all-time great. I'd put Jeter as far as shortstops ahead of Ripken. I'd put Ozzie Smith ahead of Ripken as we're talking like just stats. I think Ripken's a better ball player, all-around ball player than those guys. But aside from not missing a game for 20 years, I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to be a dick. But like, name one stat that jumps out at you that Ripken is an all-time great.
The only thing that jumps out is his 3,000 hits. That's it.
Yeah, but he's not the only one with 3,000 hits. There's a lot of guys with 3,000. Derek Jeter has 3,000 hits. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would, Reggie Jackson. I never thought that Reggie Jackson was a great ball player. He had a 3-year run that was really good, really good. I could see Pujols, the longevity of his career. I could see Pujols on that list before I'd put George Brett on the list before I'd put Cal Ripken. No offense to Cal Ripken. I'm just saying I would put, I would put George Brett up there. I would, but next week I'm going to do some pitchers, and I think that could get real interesting. But 1.2 thousand votes, and 42% said Ken Griffey Jr. There was a tie for second with 26% with Bonds and Rose, and then Ricky came in at 6%. Little surprised that, the fact that Bonds and Rose were that close, I thought it would be a 3-horse race, kind of all close between Griffey, Rose, and Bonds. I knew Henderson would probably come in fourth.
Griffey's got the recency factor.
He does. And there's a lot of people that won't vote for Bonds just because of the steroid thing, right?
Yeah. Griffey had his own video game. He had a lot of shit going for him.
Yeah, Griffey was a stud, man. Griffey was a stud. All of them were studs. Let's not lie. But our next one. Huh?
I just said put Pete in the Hall of Fame. Come on.
So, I mean, I've told people this. My wife knows this. If Pete Rose is ever inducted into the Hall of Fame, I will be in Cooperstown. Like, I don't care where I am, how old I am. If I'm alive, I will be at Cooperstown for Pete Rose's induction. The problem is, I think what's going to happen is they'll never do it while he's alive. They'll put him in after he dies. And I think that's such horseshit.
It is horseshit.
But I think that's what will happen.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I don't know. That's just me. But yeah. Yep, it does. Our next poll came out with it Saturday, 1.1 thousand votes. Which car? Just to give you 3 choices, you guys tell me which one you like the most. And let's hear them out in the chat as well. The Ferrari 458, the Lamborghini Huracan and the Porsche GT3. Can't go wrong with either three of them. They're all iconic supercars. It just depends on, are you a Ferrari, Lambo, or Porsche guy? I think, Ginger, we'll start with you. Porsche, Lamborghini, or Ferrari?
I'm going to go with Ferrari.
Ferrari. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Can't go wrong with that. Kyle?
I'm going to go with the Lambo. I don't even know. I don't even know if I make enough money to even know about these cars.
Oh, no. None of us are. The three of us combined probably wouldn't buy these three cars.
But I've always wanted a Lambo. So.
Yeah. I like Lambo. I like all three of them. I'm a Porsche guy of the three. That's kind of interesting. We're all kind of split. We all have a different choice, which is kind of cool. You can't go wrong with any of them. And the reason why I picked these they're supercars, but they're supercars that, I'm not saying they're going to be daily drivers, but they're cars that you wouldn't buy and have to feel like you just have to put them in a garage to be looked at. You can actually drive these things. They're not just track cars. So that's why I kind of went with these three models. Is they're track, but you can drive them on the road. And I mean, I wouldn't try and make them a daily drive, but they could definitely be that if you wanted to. They're not the super rare ones that you're just not ever going to drive because you're afraid to put a mile on them. Like, hey, baby, the pup's coming in to say hi, and all that. But 1.1 thousand votes. Let's see here. 46% agree with me that the Porsche GT3 is the best of the three. 32% say the Lambo and 22% say the Ferrari. Once again, you can't go wrong with any of these cars. All of these cars are awesome. So, Millstart Drew out there, it says Rose needs to be in the Hall of Fame as a player, not a manager. Yeah, if you don't, I mean, obviously he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame as a manager. And if you want to keep him out of baseball as a manager or a team owner or a GM or whatever, that's fine. But to sit there and keep a straight face and say that Pete Rose as a player doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame is honestly, I'm just going to throw it out there. It's the biggest tragedy in all of sports is that Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame. Biggest tragedy in all of sports. Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame as a player. Just saying. 1.1 thousand votes. 46% say the Porsche GT3, 32% say the Lambo Huracan, and 22% say the Ferrari 458. This one the last one was put out last Thursday, has 2.1 thousand votes. This kind of got a little interesting, especially in the comments, and all and not in a bad way. It was a great conversation in the comments. And I actually got a message from someone say, hey, sorry for doing that. And I was like, man, keep going. Love it. Keep going. Understand the wording here, Kyle and Ginger. Which is the more important design? More important design historically, Colt 1911 or the M1 Garand? Kyle, let's start with you. Which one's the more important design to shape the firearm industry or the industry or the history of the firearms, the 1911 or the Garand?
We'll say the 1911.
Okay.
That's why I went
There's not a wrong answer because they both were huge, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of it more deep here, but I think I'm sticking with 1911.
Yeah, I get it. Ginger?
This was a hard one because they're both good. But as I thought about it more, I'm going to say the 1911 because the 1911 is still around where the Garand is not around. And that operation system with the op rod, yes, you can still find it in the Mini 14.
Mini 14.
But other than that, that's it. There's really not much. Maybe you could argue that M60 because it has an op rod, but
I wouldn't even put that.
It's not.
I understand where you're going with that, but yeah. No. You know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah. But the 1911 is still around. They're still using the design to make 2011s and building off it. I wish the Garand was still.
I call it the Grand, but I know
Yeah.
people get it's the Garand. Okay, it's
Good.
Grand.
So I'm just gonna say Grand.
Yeah,
even
you,
though the Grand
that's what I call it. Yeah,
was pivotal for the war, was the way the design. It just it hasn't stood the test of time that the 1911 has stood. Where I mean, think about how many variants or how many guns. If the 1911 wasn't made, how many guns would not get made? Where the Grand, like you got the M4, the M14 is another one. The M14 and the Mini 14. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else has taken.
I think that the Grand was very important for one reason, is it sparked the whole idea of a battle rifle, right? I don't think the M16 would be around if it wasn't for the Grand, because they wouldn't have said, okay, how can we do this better? What can we do to speed the rate of fire? All of this stuff. Let's continue the process. The Grand was incredible for a short amount of time. And I think that I agree with you with the 1911, and here's why. And it's kind of, you both alluded to it. The Grand was incredibly important because it pushed innovation, but it got overtaken very quickly. The 1911, as far as the military uses, got overtaken eventually. But the 1911 is still an incredible, valuable design, and it's still, like you said, being used today. So I think that that's the longevity of the design. Is it? But I don't want to discount the Grand, because I think the Grand for its time was amazing. It was earth-shattering at the time. But I think its biggest importance was what came after that, and what that rifle proved, that you can have a battle rifle, like a true, not a rifle that you could have that could be used for hunting and for battle. The Grand was not a hunting rifle. You can use it, I guess, but it was a battle, right? It was designed for battle. And I think that that's where its legacy is it started the true battle rifle designs, and which became the M16, which became the M4s of today and all of that, which I think they all owe that to the Grand, because no one ever thought about really having a true like battle rifle. So it's and I know that Nick out there is probably having a conniption out there. he would love. I get it. But I'm going to say the 1911, I guess, out of pure longevity, it's still not only valuable today, but it's still, for the lack of a better word, it's still relevant of a design today as it was 113 years ago or whatever. 100, yeah. So, 1 point, 2 point. I'm sorry. What's up?
Oh, I was just going to say, we needed Nick on this panel for this question right here.
Yeah. I mean, he would,
he'd take us on a deep dive.
He would. I'm not smart enough to have Nick on the panel, because he would make me, everyone knows that I'm kind of dumb, but he would exploit that, and he would, prove everyone that I'm not very smart. I'm not a smart man. But yeah. 2.1 thousand votes, 66% say the Colt 1911, 34 say the Grand. Ironically, for like the first day and a half, this was like a 52-48. Only the last couple of days did it kind of get pulled away from the Colt 1911. But for the first like Thursday and almost like most of Friday, it was like right there, 50-50 kind of a thing. So, and that just shows you right there. Both of them are beloved designs for sure. So go check out our pony polls over there, and make sure you vote every week. Most Nick, here's the thing, bro. Like, we can talk about it all you want. I am not a milsurp guy. I respect them, but yeah, you lost me at milsurp. I'm just kidding. I can't have a conversation because I was just say it wouldn't be a conversation. I don't know much about the milsurp stuff, right? So it would be more of like me learning from it, which would be great, but there wouldn't be a back and forth because I wouldn't have much knowledge to go back and forth. It would just be me listening, which is cool. Maybe we'll do it in the podcast one time.
I would love to see Nick and Othias go at it. I think those two would be great on a conversation.
Yeah. That could
even
be
Clover,
cool.
honestly.
Yeah, throw Clover in there too.
Well, for certain things, and I think even Clover would tell you that milsurp may not be his bag. He can hold his own much more than I could, or any of us probably could.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'll tell you that milsurp. I mean, he's not like the shindig shig of milsurp things. But he knows a lot. I mean, he knows a lot about it. But it'd be interesting. Yeah, we should have a milsurp show one night and try to get some guys on, because that'd be something for me to learn. You know, try to get Nick and try to get maybe 3 or 4 milsurp specialists on the show and educate most of us in milsurp shit. You know,
yeah,
it'd be kind of cool. Go check out our friends over at AndersonManufacturing.com. Let them know that Ghost sent you. If you're over there buying something, you might as well use the code GHOST. We don't make any money off of it, but it does save you some money. Or I guess you could use what FLR. Is that yours, John? FLR? If you want to support Ginger. Well, you're not really supporting Ginger either. Like I said, we don't make anything on this. We're just trying to give. Kyle and Anderson have been gracious enough to give our people codes to help save some money over at AndersonManufacturing.com. So you guys had a pretty cool sale going on not too long ago with some Magpul stuff. How'd that go?
It went good. Sold out. So,
but did you really? Okay, well,
yep.
That's good. It's always good to sell out of whatever you're looking to sell, you know?
Oh, yeah. And that's going to be the ongoing price from here on out. So
is it?
Come back in stock. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that lower completion kit, man.
Yeah, with the Magpul, that's some cool stuff. It was what 170 dropped down to like 119.
Yep.
That's
never hurts to have one of those kits lying around, just in case you come across a lower.
Let's just be honest. It never hurts to have any of that lying around, just in case.
Rainy day.
You never know. Am I boring you, John? I'm sorry. Over here yawning.
Sorry, I need to take a breath. I just turned into a yawn. My bad.
Jeez.
That beauty.
That was that boring. Am I making anybody else fall asleep out there? Let me know. All right. What we're going to talk about tonight is something that I was talking with Kyle before the show, and it's something that I've noticed over time, and I never really wanted to kind of say anything because, how do I put this, Kyle? A lot of people in our community have egos, don't want to necessarily hear criticism.
Yeah.
Maybe. Whether or not that they could learn something, they don't have to, but why, so it's always kind of one of those things. And here's what I'm going with this. And this is, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to preface this by saying, by no means am I saying that I'm perfect at all. Because I know that's not true. But I cringe a lot and I watch a lot of YouTubers, content creators, whatever you want to call them, influencers, whatever you want to call them, with interesting mechanics with their rifles. And let's mostly ARs these days, but just rifles in general. But I also see a lot of stuff at the range. I also see a lot of stuff at range days. You're around different people shooting at ranges and events and all that. It's always fun to see rifle mechanics and all of that. Are the crayons next to Kyle kosher? I don't know, Kyle. Are those kosher? Mine are, Yehuda. They're right there.
Can I hold these up on YouTube?
I believe you can.
Is this safe?
We're going to, yep.
Yeah.
24 pack. Those are rookie numbers.
It's my midnight snack.
Is the green one gone?
There's only
the grape ones are mine are gone. So,
no, all the greens are out, dude.
So the apple is your favorite? The apple crayons are your favorite?
Yeah, I love apple.
See, I'm a grape guy. I'll trade you my apple for your grape. How about that?
Deal.
Straight up. No crayon to be named later. No draft picks. Just straight up. My grape for your apple.
Deal.
All right, we're in. Gotta find me some Jarhead chow. There you go, bud. Good seeing you, Yehuda. Hopefully, is Yehuda going to be in Knoxville in August?
Yes. So I talked to Yehuda today. Him and I have been talking back and forth, which has been fantastic as always, Yehuda. So not only is he going to be
listening to this, and you don't know, Yehuda Reamer is the Pew Pew Jew. Everybody knows a Pew Pew Jew, but maybe some people may not know his name. So if you're listening to this in podcast form, you're like, who the hell's Yehuda? The Pew Pew Jew, for the guys that need to know.
So Yehuda will be speaking on Sunday on a panel with now my mind is blinking, but John Keys, Antonia, Tony Simon, Tracy Guns, and I'm trying to think of the last one. Oh, it would be Yehuda. And then he also will be, we gave him a booth to sell his book on Sunday. So he'll be partnering up with somebody to work that booth with him so he can honor his Sabbath. So I really appreciate Yehuda and everything he does. And we love having him out for the show and enjoy his talk. Looking real forward to that panel. It's going to be a really good panel with those guys.
Yeah, Yehuda's a dear friend, and I don't get to see him very often. So every year at SHOT, we always get to have a big hug a couple times, almost every day in the morning when we sit around our table in the morning having our breakfast. But that's one of the few things him and there's a couple of people that I look for at SHOT mostly. That's where I see them usually and get my hugs in. And but yeah, looking forward to seeing Yehuda in August at Goals as well. Anyways, we're going to talk about rifles and mechanics, but really, and I'm going to say this not in an egotistical or arrogant way, but we're going to talk about maybe how to help you master your rifles. I see a lot of people out there that struggle with their rifles, and especially ARs, because there's very little, if any, recoil or any. It's so negligent. It's awesome, but I see people struggling with mechanics, and that hurts them with accuracy. An AR-15 in 5.56 is going to be one of the most accurate rifles that's ever been created, and I see bad mechanics that hurt results, right? And so I'm going to bring John and Kyle in and talk a little bit about maybe some of the things and mechanics that we use that could help people. What are some of the bad things? And these are all our opinions, because obviously, how we do things may not be the way that everybody else likes it. But talk a little bit about what we see that we would like to maybe help people understand of what are some good characteristics of mechanics to help master shooting the rifle, whether it's for hunting, self-defense, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Being a master of your rifle is going to be crucial. Kyle, let's start with you real quick. And you've seen a lot of people shooting rifles, and obviously with Anderson, you've seen a lot of people shooting your rifles, but not to seal anybody out at all. This is in generalities. Yeah. What are some of the one or two of the biggest flaws or things that you think are holding people back from mastering their rifle skills?
Well, first I gotta say this, and this is not a knock at you. I don't know how to say it politely. But I
don't care if you say it politely. Just be blunt, man.
Yeah,
speak you.
I picked this up when Ron Riker was on your show.
Yeah,
really, or not Ron Riker, Ron Holmes.
Ron Holmes. Yeah, from Riker USA. Yes, Riker's his son's name. Yeah.
Yeah. But it really stuck with me. It really made me think, and I've kind of like implemented it in my day-to-day and my rifle fundamentals. But you should never look at it as mastering your rifle, because there's always something you can learn. He said every day a student. Every day a student.
Yep.
and that's kind of stuck with me. So that was the first thing I wanted to throw out there. But second is just basic fundamentals. And I know it sounds like a cop out, but I mean, having the rifle high in your shoulder pocket, kind of getting that squeeze over and getting onto the pistol grip. And then you'll see people do it, and it comes very quick, but that's years and years and years of being the same. You know where your rifle's going to sit in your pocket. Breathing, obviously. And then another key fundamental that I see that a lot of people kind of miss out on, just kind of having safes, and then you load it in the car and go to the range, shoot, and you're done with it, is using a sling to your advantage.
Sling guy, yeah.
A sling is an absolute game changer. We've kind of been spoiled with automobiles. Like I said, having safes that are right there in your house, and then you just transport to the range and you walk 5 steps and you're right at your shooting bay. Why do you need a sling for? Well, shooting fundamentals, you can implement a sling.
The sling is not just to put over your shoulder to be easier to transport. It's huge for stabilizing, for creating a good shoulder weld, if you will. It's easy to follow up shot. Yeah, a sling is huge. I don't think people understand the benefits truly of slings. I think you're onto something there.
I agree. But without going into like a deep wormhole on that I'd say sling, always being a student, and then basic fundamentals of marksmanship. Yeah. If you don't know the basics, look up the Marine Corps manual.
I will say the one thing, I think most of us, well, if you're a Marine especially, but I think most people, the one thing that's kind of like a pet peeve for me, and you don't see it as much out in the general public, but as much as you do on like TV and movies, and it just drives me nuts, is when people get the wing out with the, with their shoulder wing, the chicken wing and all that, like that's terrible. But reason why is brings up the weld in the shoulder, right? Is you've got to be able to have a strong shoulder once you get it in that weld there. So what you're talking about is bringing that shoulder forward. Well, the best way to do it is, you don't necessarily have to do it like this, but I will say this is all you have to do is to bring your elbow into your side, and that's going to create that stable. That's where the recoil is going to get hit on that shoulder. Yeah. And that right there in that shoulder blade is where that buttstock wants to stick. And if you have it like there, it's not stable. You bring that elbow in, and it's going to create that pocket for you almost, and it's going to stay more stable. I 100% agree. I will say for me, but before I get to John, I'll say for me, one of the biggest mistakes that I think people have with their rifle, and this is not just my opinion, or you don't shoot like me, but it kind of goes into that same, the shoulder weld, right? With the buttstock and the shoulder, is how to keep that rifle in. And I see too many people that have they think that their left hand or their forward, their non-trigger hand, right? If it's for a lefty, it'd be the right hand, but their forward hand is there to stabilize and to aim the rifle. That is true. Okay. But there is a huge purpose of that lead hand. Whether you, like me, I don't really necessarily go out there a whole lot. I go along that mag well. That's just how I've always run an AR, and that's my, when I'm not thinking about it, I go right there. But I like being compact, so this is how I like to fight with my rifles. But anyways, that left hand is so much more than just stabilizing the muzzle and aiming. That is where you're supposed to bring that pressure into the buttstock into your shoulder. I see a lot of people making mistakes where they have a lot of tension in their right hand or their trigger hand, right? And their right hand with that pistol grip is what's pulling that rifle back into the shoulder. Well, the problem with that is the more tension that you put on for having to bring that rifle, that buttstock into your shoulder, that all of that tension, the muscles and all that tensing up hurts your trigger pull. and you're not going to be as accurate. You're not going to get legitimate, great, proper trigger pulls when you're using that right hand. So I recommend if you find yourself next time you're shooting your AR and you find yourself kind of, you feel like that right hand is what bringing that buttstock into that shoulder, try relaxing your right hand. Take your right hand completely off that rifle, drop that shoulder, kind of bring that shoulder like Kyle was talking about up front, and utilize with a sling even better. If you wrap your hand through that sling and take it, and then you just do that with your elbow of that sling, it's going to tighten that up, and you bring that right with your forward hand, bring that buttstock, press that into your shoulder. Your right hand, your shooting hand, your trigger hand doesn't need to be on that rifle. Once you get in that position, then you get your trigger hand on that rifle and no pressure at all. That should just be sitting there, and all you're doing is pressing that trigger. That's all you're doing. Just press that trigger. There should be no tension in your trigger hand on an AR. That's the biggest one that I see is they either they don't bring that rifle back into their shoulder at all, and it just jumps. You can see when it's just wobbly because there's not stable, or they're using it the wrong way. That's the biggest thing for me. Ginger, what are some of the things that when you see people say, man, they could do that better, in your opinion?
You've touched on everything I was going to touch on. The only thing that I was going to say, and this is a debatable topic, is magwell grab or no magwell grab. Because I've heard it both ways. I've heard people like you who, and I used to really like grabbing the magwell, and then I was told don't do that. Because
why?
Why? The reason why I was told not to do that, because if there's a catastrophic malfunction, the air is designed to blow everything out the magwell.
Okay.
That's the reason why I was told.
That is one, and the other one I heard also is they say that if you go grip around the magwell and you don't do it properly, the lower part of your lead hand can rest on the magazine and not the magwell, so magazine changes become interesting. You can get some failures because of that. Don't disagree with any of those arguments. I will say this, and I don't recommend going magwell. I don't recommend that. That's just what I do, and it's probably a bad habit. I will say this: I've done it thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times to make sure that I'm here. I am not, my bottom part of my hand is not resting on that magazine. It's not going to hinder that, but that's just through a lot of shots. If you are going to, like, I agree with you. If you are going to go magwell, make sure that you kind of angle your hand out a little bit so that lower part of the hand isn't interrupting with the magazine as well. All of the pressure, all the weight should be on the magwell, not on the magazine. I agree with you on that, John, 100%.
So here's my thing with the AR, and I love the AR. The two biggest failure points are where you're going to put your hand. One of them is the gas tube, and one of them is the magwell.
Okay.
And then you try to explain to people, and then they're like, well, those are two failure points. And it's like, well, the safer of the two would probably be the gas tube. Seeing that the handguard's that in front of it to protect your hand.
I'd agree.
I would agree. I would agree in theory, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do y'all stand? Obviously, we're talking rifle length. If we're talking pistol, we can go angled foregrip. But let's talk rifle length. Where you guys stand on grip, vertical grips? Are you guys pro vertical grip, anti vertical grip?
I am. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kyle.
I'm a pro vert grip guy. And it's gonna sound goofy because it's not really in my taste when it comes to firearms, but I love the Knight's Armament vertical foregrip. Like that is my baby. I think a lot of it I can attribute that to the Marine Corps for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
But man, I've really, and this is kind of not good on my end, but I've really like kind of based all my fundamentals off having that foregrip, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong,
fair.
I can still run and gun, but without it. But man, I really prefer to have that foregrip.
So let me ask you this. When you run your vert, are you grabbing the handle this way, or are you resting against that vert grip, or are you actually like holding the vert grip?
I am a weirdo, and I am holding that
You
vert.
are. No, I get it. I get it.
No, I mean, there are camps out there of people that just cannot see how the hell I do it.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I don't mind. If I don't run vert grips on the vast majority of my rifles. And it's not because I don't like them. It's just I don't utilize them the way that, like you, I don't hold on to them. I like vert grips, even on rifling. I can do it. I mean, an angled foregrip or something like that. If there is going to be a vert grip on there, I kind of use it as a hand stop almost.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and I don't grip it. I'll grip up here and kind of use it as a stop, if you will.
That's what I see most. Yeah.
It's comfortable to me that way. Yeah. But I'm also not the guy also that even when I'm shooting without a vert grip, I'm not the guy that's got the weird ass extended straight arm, thumb on top. I'm not that guy. So
for me, it's a lot about the mechanics you were talking about at the beginning. That having that rifle pulled in nice and tight.
That's where the vert grip helps a lot, man.
That vert grip really gives me that leverage, so I don't have to worry about like recoil reduction, any of that stuff. Like everything's handled because I have a perfect shoulder weld or whatever you want to call it.
Shoulder weld, yeah. So I mean, obviously he's one of my best friends, and he's a brother of mine, and I love him. But you guys know, Ron, you brought up Riker, and if you haven't tried the Riker grip, what the Riker grip does is it takes a lot of the tension off of your shoulders and all of that. But with that grip, it's on the side, it's going to help you pull and get that tension in naturally. So if you guys have ever tried the Riker grip, you should. Ginger, vert grip or no vert grip?
I started with the vert grip. I got rid of the vert grip, moved to either a hand stop or they're not. I don't want to call it an angle grip because it's not really an angle grip, but those like low profile kind of with the little hook on the back and the hook on the front.
I run an angled grip right there. Hand stop, if you will. On that's the battle rifle.
Yeah.
So
it's not really like when I think angle grip, I think of like the Magpul grip. It's like the real low profile grip. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I really like those. But I'm in the camp with you. I use the vert grip not as a vert grip, but a hand stop to help pull the rifle in closer.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I'm not saying that I've never done it. I have. I'm not saying that I wouldn't, and I don't recommend it. As I don't. I do recommend it. It's just whatever is comfortable for you. What's going to be good for you individually. The only time that I can sit there and say that if I'm going to have a vert grip on something, then I'm probably going to utilize the vert grip is on something that's going to be full auto. On a full auto, it does kind of help with that, having that vert grip. But depending on the gun, I still might not utilize it as well as I should. But see, I learned in the Marine Corps, we didn't have the vert grips. At least, I mean, they were around, but we weren't privy to them back in the 90s with the A2s. So, and I think that's why, like, we had the clamshell A2, handguard. So you were here and all that. But we did so much CQB that we wanted to be in close. So that's why my natural position is Magwell, right? We wanted to be in here. We wanted to be right here in our workspace. Our workspace was real compact, doing CQB and all of that. That's why I still to this day, naturally, when I pick up a rifle, that's where I go. And I know it might not be right, and I'll be wrong. But we didn't have vert grips back in my day. And it'd be interesting to think, had I started with vert grips, would I be more of a vert grip guy? And I don't know the answer to that, because I know there's a lot of people that swear by them. And like I said, whatever it works for you, great. And I'm not against them. I just, like I said, I learned a specific way. So we didn't have the vert grips back in the 90s. So it'd be interesting to, if I went through with vert grips, would I be a more of a vert grip guy? I don't know. Go ahead, Kyle. You're going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, just to play off everything you're talking about right there, it really shows you how the military continues to evolve their tactics.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how things change, because like the way you learn CQB, like being tight end, I definitely see the advantage to that. Like you got a tight foundation right there. So like all your shots are going to be accurate. Yep. There's not really too much stability to lose when you're in that tight.
Nope.
But the way we were taught CQB was the long method, being out there so that you can have that quick target acquisition by using your hand as an aiming point. Because when you get in 5 meters, like you can literally aim with your thumb. Let's just be honest there. I think Abigail was
you're not using sights of any kind. It's point and shoot.
Yeah, and you can also you can do your fields of fire, and you're already up there. Like
sure.
So
no, like I said, I wasn't taught that way. Like from the beginning, we were taught, in grass week and all that. We were taught the normal way. But when you start getting into the fleet and you start doing other things, you pick up things, and we weren't necessarily taught to hold mag well. But I noticed that some of my sergeants and corporals as a young PFC, they were all going here, and I was like, that makes sense for me. For me, it made sense CQ being it right here, because once again, even so, here's the thing about CQB. What a lot of people don't understand is you brought up kind of point and shoot. You're not typically, I'm not saying that no one does and you shouldn't, but typically you're not running CQB through an optic. You're here and your eyes are over top that optic. You're able to scan. Once again, you're point and shoot. You're not sitting there, because if you look through a dot or you're focusing your field of view into a tube. So you're usually your eyes are directly over whatever optic you have, and that's how you're scanning, doing CQB. You're right here. Boom, 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 boom. So for me, like I said, to this day, I picked that up as a young PFC, watching sergeants and corporals that have been doing this for a lot longer than I have, and they were doing this. I don't know where they got it from. I don't even know if they noticed realized they were doing it. But I was like, well, and mentally, I'm like, that makes sense, because now my workspace is right here.
You got your mags right there.
Probably. I get my mags right there. I've got everything is right here. I'm not giving any. I'm making my silhouette as small as possible. If I'm right here and I've got to go around the wall this way, well, guess what? It's just a quick exchange with going this way versus this way, instead of okay, now I've got to do all this. It's boom, boom, and I'm now able to go with offhand or go back to strong, whatever it is. It's all right there. Your workspace. Now, this is for a very specific work environment, right? I'm not saying this is the way. But yeah, go ahead, Ginger.
You guys are lucky. I can't go left eye on rifles. I can't even get a sight picture.
See, I'm left eye. I'm actually left eye dominant.
See, I'm right eye dominant. I found out in a class I can't switch. I have to transition over to the pistol to go left-handed. It's really weird. Yeah, I can't even get like. I was taking a rifle class, and I'm like, he's like, can you see anything? I'm like, I can't see anything. I can't even get my head lined up to see anywhere near the dot, or even try to point shoot. It just doesn't work. But one thing we did fail to mention, and I see it a lot at range days, is adjusting the stock if it's adjustable.
Yeah, length of pull, I think, is something that the average person doesn't even think. They more go, what's comfortable? What's comfortable may not be good. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, great point. I didn't even think about length of pull. That's a great point.
Yeah, so I've always learned like start at the furthest position and then work in to where your length of pull is where you need it to be.
Same.
And everything lines up. But also I'm the same person who prefers to have like on an it's not A2, what do you call the standard M4 buttstock on that? I prefer to have it at the lowest setting. I don't know why, but I like being more
like
compact.
In close. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's one
I think
thing that
I'm on like second or I think the third is what where mine is like the third hole.
Normally it's either between the hole number 1 and 2. I don't know why I feel more comfortable in those positions.
Oh, hey,
but
once
yeah,
again,
that's one.
You've got it. I mean, that's the great thing about the adjustable stock, right? Yeah. Is back when we had the A2, it was a fixed stock. There was one stock. You couldn't adjust it. People like me that have short arms versus guys that have long arms, you were using the same length of pull.
That's why you grab the damn Magwell. That damn stock.
I got my alligator arms, baby. My T-Rex arm. No, but yeah, length of pull is huge. Yeah. And I think that's something that the average person doesn't understand or even know, because I'm not saying that most don't, but I think there's a lot of instructors that don't consider length of pull as something important to teach beginners, right?
I think a lot of instructors think that naturally you're going to adjust it, but Kyle, you've done range days. How many people come up to your booth and actually adjust length of pull, or just pick it up and just start shooting?
Very rare. Yeah, very rare that they adjust anything.
So it's one of those things. It's like I think when you go to a class, the instructors think that you are versed in. Well, first off, they think you fired your rifle for more than this class, but I think the adjusting of length of pull is just not something they think about.
Yeah, Abby says, keep in mind where the buffer tube has a slant. There you go. Ozzy's out there. What's up, Ozzy? Chris is out there. Chris is working. He's trying to get stuff done so he can go to GunCon tomorrow or whenever it is. So that's why he's not here tonight. He sent me a text. He's like, I got to get some stuff done so I can leave. I get it. Abigail says, I've always been taught to look over my dot and snap into it, my line of sight. That's what, CQB, if you're scanning and you're scanning through your optic, you're taking your field of view and making it about 10% of what it could be. This is my personal opinion, and this is what I recommend. If you're going to work CQB, always scan over the top of that. And when you need to, it's just a simple, then you're on the dot, right? You're on the optic, whatever it is. So I think that going back to the length of pull, right? This is where I think length of pull, the only time the average person really probably considers length of pull, or I didn't see length of pull. I don't think they consider length of pull. It's adjusting the stock is when they're mounting an optic that's not a red dot because of the eye relief. And I think that's where they have the optic mount or whatever, the rings, and they've got it on the rifle where they need it to be. And at that point, they're adjusting that stock to where they get the proper eye relief on that optic. I don't think that they think about the length of pull. I think they adjust it. They think the adjustable is for optic eye relief and all of that. I don't know that to be true, but I see more people at ranges adjusting the stock, looking for the proper eye relief so they get a good sight picture through their optic. It's a non-dot, obviously, than I do trying to get length of pull. Because here's the thing. Most people don't know what length of pull is. They don't understand that it is something that can help you or hurt you in your mechanics, right? That's a good point there, Ginger.
Well, I mean, you brought up optics. The big one that I see optic-wise is people who get like LPVOs and mount it in front of the barrel, or mount it between the upper receiver and the
you always want to mount your optics on the upper rail.
Yeah, don't bridge optics.
I shouldn't say. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to, because a lot of rails go over the length of the handguard. Don't mount your optics on the handguard rail. Keep it on the upper rail. Because that's where it's stable. That's where it's going to be supported. The stuff you put up front, you can put lasers, lights, flip up sights. That's fine. But your optic, yeah. And I see where a lot of it is some people, I've seen this too, and it doesn't make any sense to me. They're not thinking about it, but they'll mount half of it, like the back part of the optic is on the upper, and the front part of the mount is on the handguard rail. And it's like, well, what are you going to do if you got to break that down? You're going to take your optic before you even break that rifle down. You can't do anything with it. And they're like, oh, I never think about that. So yeah, you're right. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I like to interrupt.
No, that's exactly what I was getting at. It was what Kyle said, bridging your optic is, and that comes down to length of pool or just lack of knowledge.
Yeah. Where I like to put my optics to start with is that rear part of the optic. I like to start it the glass, not where I mount it. It doesn't matter where you mount it. You have to mount it to get where I start it with is that optic basically right over the charging handle, like right on the back of that rail up top. A little bit ahead of that, maybe, so you have room for the charging handle, and then wherever you have to mount that to get there, that's where I like to go. Maybe it's just because where I have my stock, my length of pull is, that's kind of just perfect for me. I know that some people like to put their optics as far forward on that upper rail as possible. I like that back part of that optic to be right there in front of the charging handle. That's just me. That's a personal preference, I guess. Where do you guys, do you like your, especially like a red dot that has unlimited eye relief, right? You don't have to worry about eye relief on a red dot. Do you like that dot more forward on that upper or back towards your eye?
I'm a mid guy. I
think mid guy? Like right over like the ejection port or something.
Maybe right at the beginning of the ejection port.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm one of those guys. I do try to get it out as far as I can, just because I do like the ability to kind of be able to look around it and all that.
I'm a T9, T10 guy. If you're going from the, you're talking.
Yeah.
What?
No,
but that's how I know it.
Hey,
mid.
no.
I get it.
I'm a T-marked upper guy myself. It's the only way to go.
Yeah. G23 says, how about a scope on a 45? So I have a couple rifles with a 45 that I'll run like an LPVO up top, and I'll run basically it comes down to like a little RMR, like a little pistol dot.
Yeah.
On a 45. I don't like anything big on the 45. I'm going to go 45 is going to be a small like pistol dot almost, an open reflex or something like that. On a 45. I only have a couple of them. I'm not a big, but I also don't run a lot of LPVOs. I have 4 or 5 of them that I run on rifles, but the vast majority of my rifles are going to have dots, whether it's, just regular dots of some sort or like the EOTech or something. But I don't run. I've only gotten into LPVOs in the last few years, so the vast majority of my rifles are going to have dots, so I don't have to worry about the 45. Where you guys, Ginger? Let's go with you first. 45 dot. Where do you fall on that?
I run mostly dots, so it doesn't bother me. But if I was running an LPVO, I guess it makes sense to go transition over. So yeah.
I mean, if you're here at LPVO and you want to do CQB, it is, it's probably easier to do something up close and personal with that dot than an LPVO. Because let me ask, like LPVOs, like a lot of people will run their LPVOs, like let's say 1 to 6, right? And they'll run it on 1. Well, why the hell do you have an LPVO? If you're going to run it on 1, then just put a dot on there. So I'll usually run mine on like 3, a 3X. Because I like a 3, because I have a 3X magnifier on the EOTech. I like a 3X sight picture. So if I'm going to run LPVO, it's going to be running on 3. So at that point, I do want that 1X, 45 that would do that. But I see a lot of people run their LPVOs on 1X. I'm like, if you're going to run your LPVO on 1, then why do you have an LPVO? Let's just be honest about it. Anyways, I digress. Kyle, what about you on the 45? What are you thinking about the 45 dot?
I'm kind of a minimalist when I do my builds and my setups. So
I know you like irons, open irons. So
I do, but I'm not against optics for sure. Yeah. I do have quite a few with optics, but I don't have enough experience to speak educated on that with the 45.
No, I get it.
I definitely see the practicality. I do, but and we're getting into this conversation about mastering your rifle and stuff. I just want to bring it back to, like, if you guys are in the audience, basic fundamentals first. Like, not all shooting is tactical shooting. Learning the different stances, the prone, the standing, the sitting, the kneeling, all comes into play in, like, the fancy stuff. So really take your time to, like, grasp onto those, like, basic shooting stances.
So I've got my list here, and we've talked about most of them. There's still 2 or 3 fundamentals, right? And here's a problem with the word fundamental is fundamentals don't have to be the same for everybody. It's no. There's different fundamentals, right? So let me ask you this. So the first one is squared up shoulders with the rifle or sideways with or maybe I wouldn't say sideways, but angled. Where do you guys fall on how you want your shoulders to be with a rifle? I personally like them squared up because that gives me my good shoulder weld and all that. But do you guys like being in an angle or with your stance, or like left foot forward, right foot forward, or are you guys kind of equal? Where do you guys come with that?
I'm squared up. My left foot forward is always a little bit forward of my
just
right.
A little bit, but it's not forcing your shoulders in an angle though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So but I mean,
John's having to think about it. He's like, how do I do that?
Well, I mean, and then you go in, but then you look at the way, like, you were taught to shoot standing, and it was kind of sideways, facing the target and kind of shooting like this.
Yeah, you're kind of like having to turn your head a little bit.
Loop sling. And
That's it.
But I'm definitely a squared up guy. For sure.
Real quick, Ginger, G23, thank you, my man. $20 super chat. He says, for the men and women who are downrange and won't be home with friends and family on Independence Day, plus 40 Smith & Wesson is king and pink tutu fund. There you go. He knows that I will Ron Burgundy super chat, so whatever he says, I have to say. So obviously, I don't believe that the Smith & Wesson is 40 Smith & Wesson is king, but I'm all for wearing a pink tutu. I have no problem wearing a pink tutu in a video. I told people, if I ever wear a pink tutu in a video, I'll be doing a video on the 40 Smith & Wesson. So we'll see how that goes. Ginger, when it comes to your stance, how are you? But thank you, G23. I appreciate you very much, brother. Where do you fall?
It depends on what it is, but I think I picked up a bad habit shooting machine guns, and that I turn and lean forward more to help keep the muzzle on.
So, like, are you saying you square up more and lean forward, or are you canting your shoulders more?
My right shoulder is slightly forward.
Oh, your right shoulder is forward.
No, my left shoulder. My left shoulder. Sorry, I'm trying to think here. So I'm here. I'm at like a slight 45, not complete
with
45.
Your left shoulder forward,
slightly forward. You like that? Yeah, just a little bit. So it's in between like squared and forward. I'm guessing that's from just bad habits of trying to keep machine guns on target out range days, so that they're. But I think that's why, because I've got my left foot forward, and I'm in like this. It's kind of in between.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in that position, so I'm kind of seeing what you're talking about. Yeah.
Not like I'm not all the way forward, like turn, but I'm like right here. This is such an awkward like thing to do without something in your hand. But
okay, no, I get it.
That's such a bad statement. I only shoot machine guns, so
Yeah.
Dude, I think it's
First
not
world
that I only
problems.
shoot. Wow. It's not that I only shoot machine guns. I just think I picked up a bad habit because I've been thinking about this the whole time. Like, okay, what do I do? How did I look in front of Kyle when I was shooting his stuff? And I think I picked up a bad habit at one point because I noticed it when I was at the gathering shooting the crank. That I noticed that even though it was in, I was feeling it felt like there was an air gap in between, kind of rocking, and I'm like trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong because I'm pulling everything in nice and tight.
Okay. Yeah. No, I get it. Second thing I wanted to talk about, and we kind of touched on it a second ago, not necessarily how your shoulders are, but your feet. Do you kind of go left foot in front a little bit, right foot? Or are they pretty much even, like on your stance? What's your? I want to start with Ginger on this one. Your feet, as we talk about our shoulder angle. What are your feet angle when you're shooting your rifle?
Left foot slightly forward.
Yeah, I know Kyle. You said the same thing.
Yeah, same for me.
Same here. You know, my basically is if you put like my right toe is probably, if you draw a straight line over, it's probably like in the middle of my left foot, I guess, maybe somewhere in there. It's not a lot, but it is definitely, and that's where stabilization for me.
Yeah, that's what counts.
What the hell you guys? Defense says, what the hell you guys don't dual wield hip shooting? Not so much. Abby says, I wear armor, so my upper body is square to the threat. Yeah. So I wish I had it. It's not in this room right now. But you guys go check a video, and I put it out there last fall. It's the best stock I've ever shot. It's the Valiant Dynamics, and that stock is you call the Evolver stock, and it's literally the best stock. But if you're going to run carriers, right? If you're going to run something, you can wear it whatever. But Abby, I promise you, if you're wearing body armor a lot, please go and check out the video on the Evolver, EVOLVR. It's on my channel like last fall, the Evolver stock. And it was specifically made for wearing carriers and all of that. And it's unbelievable. Anyone that's going to wear armor and carriers or H harness or chest rigs, anything that's going to be on top and doesn't have this stock, you're only putting yourself in a bad position, because between the cut, depends on the cut of the armor, unless you're wearing like swimmer's cut plates and you have a carrier that's designed for that, chances are you're going to have to adjust where you're putting your buttstock in, and it's not going to be as stable. So you have to learn, and people that wear armor a lot have to learn kind of how to the mechanics with shooting with armor versus without armor. So, oh, I'm sorry you got hurt, but yeah, excuse me, sorry. This is gonna be the next one, right? And this one is this, once again, we talked about length of pull earlier as being one of the things that, or it's kind of like an overlooked mechanical fundamental, right? This one is one that I think is actually just the same amount of ignored, but is so crucial in fundamental mechanics, is your cheek weld. How to get a proper cheek weld and all of that on your stock. How do you guys go about making a consistent cheek weld the same place or whatever every time? Because that's, being able to repeat that and consistently put it in the same spot and all of that. If you're zeroing your optic, but you can't get a consistent cheek weld and you're putting it in different places and all of that, well, you're changing your view of that optic. So it's not really ever going to be truly zeroed. Kyle, start with you. First of all, is your cheek weld something you think about or have thought about as far as your mechanics and fundamentals? And if so, how did you kind of get into the habit of doing a consistent cheek weld?
Cheek weld, just like you said. To me, I really haven't thought about it, but I think just because since day one, it's been like one of those foundational fundamentals, like
ingrained.
one of the first things you learn. But I will literally take my, and this is going to probably look weird, but I'll take my rifle and I will slide from like jawline down, and I'll get like a chipmunk kind of overhang on that stock.
Yep. I kind of go up, and then when it hits the top of that jawbone, absolutely.
You okay, get locked in. One thing I will say that I didn't ever think of, but made a huge impact on getting a cheek weld, is having facial hair. 100%. That changes it. It changes it a lot. And it's painful to learn how to shoot with a beard, because some of these butt stocks will straight rip beard hairs.
They will.
So, but I think
luckily I did not learn to shoot with a beard because we weren't allowed to have facial hair.
Yeah, no, that's why it was so different.
Yeah. Ginger, cheek weld for you, where is it? Is it important? Is it something you think about often or not really? Is it more muscle memory type thing?
It's both muscle memory and something I think about. It's the same thing as Kyle. I'll go in and then it's that cheek, that
right
top
there.
blown. I did notice when I first started shooting rifles, I had issues with headphones if I was doing over the ear pro, and causing that cheek weld not to be in the same spot.
That's why I don't wear muffs most of the time when I'm shooting rifles.
So that's why I switched over. When I switched over I would say either it was the Caldwells or the Axles, I noticed a major improvement, or even the real flat over the ears. I can't remember what they're called. They're the battery powered one. It's not Howard lights. Yeah, the Howard lights.
Yeah. When I run rifles, I run decibels, but I run plugs. I won't run muff ear pro with a rifle for that reason right there. Is I'm only thinking too much of, is this moving, or is it whatever? Is it change my mechanics? I think they're great, but for rifles, I won't use muffs for that simple reason, John. Is I don't know if it does change my mechanics, but I'm thinking about it, and I don't want to be thinking about that. I want to be thinking about other things,
I think it.
Go ahead, John.
Okay. I don't think it changed. It's as much as changing up on mechanics is just trying to get comfortable, because you're trying to keep that over the ear on and just bumping the stock.
And it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much at all, No,
I'm a muff guy. All right.
With rifles? Okay.
Yeah, I am a muff guy.
Okay.
I'm transitioning. I got a pair of Axles over here.
Oh,
I'm working with them. I'm still not quite used to it though. I like the Walker razors, and I got the little gel inserts. Yeah, so they're real nice and tight and real comfy. But I think my hearing's just so bad at this point that it doesn't really fade, because I don't think a damn thing about that thing getting pushed up or any of that. So
my hearing's bad, and my wife tells me all the time, "You don't even listen to me." What?
You heard it here first, guys. Kyle is transitioning from muff.
He's transitioning from muff to plugs. He's transitioning from muff to plugs.
Muffs to plugs, baby. Let's go. Who's with me? Who am I taking with me?
I'm sorry.
Let me put my hand down so no one even thinks that I'm. Yeah, no. I'll tell you one thing that I think for people that are more beginners, and the reason why the cheek weld is important. Once again, we're talking about being consistent. Okay, and not only do you want to put it on your cheek the same way, you want to have it in the same spot on that stock every time. Once again, if you're zeroing your optic, but you're not consistent of where you're putting, your cheek on that stock, what the hell are we doing here, right? So one of the better ways that I've seen, and this is not my idea by any means. I'm not smart to come up with this idea. I wish I would have, because it was freaking amazing. That said, one of the best things I've seen to teach that muscle memory, because most people in here and most people in the chat that have been doing this a long time, it's the cheek welds muscle memory. It's just straight muscle memory. One of the best ways that I've seen to teach that muscle memory is you don't want anything that's going to hurt, but you can go to like, Hobby Lobby or Walmart and get like some felt sticker or something that will stick on there. So you get your length of pull, you get your optic where you want, and you get your cheek weld where you like that and where you want it. And then you get a piece of strip of felt and you literally put it right there in front of your cheek weld on top of the stock. So at that point, when you go down on, it sounds bad, when you go down on that stock, when you get your weld on that stock and your cheek isn't touching that felt, yes, this is double entendre is night all night. You can kind of just move up to that. It could be skater board tape. I wouldn't suggest that's going to cut the hell out of you. A lot of people will use like the green felt that you can find little strips of it and just tape it onto your stock. That way, when you take your cheek weld and your cheek isn't touching that, you just move forward on that a little bit until you're there. That way, you're getting your cheek weld and your head is adjusted and positioned on that stock, the exact spot every single time. And that will eventually teach you some muscle memory. But I think that having that in the same spot consistently will help your mechanics. And if you need to, do something like that, a Band-Aid, anything that's going to be a little bit bigger than that stock where you can actually feel when you hit that barrier. Band-Aid would be a good one because it's not going to hurt anything. But something like that, it's not going to get better until you stop picking at it. I get it, man. But yeah, I mean, there's different ways, but I think that the cheek weld is something that I think gets really overlooked as well. There's a lot of things that I think that a lot of us take for granted, and we don't think about it as much because it is muscle memory and all that. The problem is once again, we don't know who's watching us, right? So I attribute to me going tight magwell, attributing to not being taught that by picking that up on my NCOs when we were doing stuff when I was a young Marine. And I saw that and I picked it up and it's now become part of mine. We don't know who's watching us in our videos or on the range or at range day. We don't know who's watching our mechanics. There might be someone that watches our videos and to literally learn how to hold a rifle. And I think that if we're going to be like that, I think that we don't have to have the same, everyone has the same fundamentals, but I think we need to be consistent and doing the same fundamentals every time. That way, at least someone's watching us. They sit there and say, well, he's talking about the cheek weld. He's talking about this, that, and the other. And that's why he does that. So, I mean, I think being consistent is really key. But I think that's where the biggest thing is not one specific fundamental I think that people are doing wrong. I think it's the consistent fundamentals that people are doing wrong. It's not that they're doing the individual fundamentals wrong. They just aren't consistent with them. Whatever you're going to do it the same way every time. And you'll figure out a way to kind of, as Kyle said, you're never going to master your rifle. If you think you've mastered your rifle, then you probably need to put your rifle up. But I think the biggest thing that you can do is doing the same thing every time. Because if you're doing the same thing exactly the same way every time, you will learn how your body and your fundamentals are going to control that rifle, and that's going to make you a better shot. There you go. Kyle, I want to bring you in real quick. And if you had one piece of advice for someone that either has zero or little experience with a rifle, or someone that has now understood that maybe they're doing some things wrong, what's the biggest piece of advice that you can give to them to say, hey, this can make you better, or, there is hope out there, right?
I've been beating on it all night, but I'm going to say it again, man. Start with the basics and crawl before you walk.
100%.
Just because if you got strong basics, all the fancy stuff is going to come natural, come easy to you. But things like controlling your breathing, the cheek weld, the shoulder weld we were talking about, slings, how to use your sling, what type of sling do you want to run, and what are the advantages of every different sling. Just some simple research and really invest
how to run it. What kind of a forward, if any, what do you run on the forward handguard as far as a hand stopper grip? Do you want to run anything up there? Absolutely.
What kind of handguards do you prefer? All those are things that you need to learn. Just knowing your rifle, knowing your tool, and then, like I said, investing in some training or finding some experienced people to learn from, because they can really hammer down those basic fundamentals and really turn you into a well-rounded shooter. So
that's pretty damn good right there.
Ginger.
Go ahead, Kyle.
One last tidbit of advice. Sometimes you gotta hawk tool. Spit on that thing. And that's legitimate. Sometimes you gotta spit on that thing. If you know what? I guarantee Kyle has. You get out in that desert sand, sometimes you got a hawk tua, and that rifle will run with the whole hawk tua every now and then. So spit on that thing.
Spit on that thing. What's up, John? You had to follow that now.
I need to follow that. That's hard to follow.
It is hard to follow.
Well, like Kyle said, I would say the best thing to do is seek out training, learn the fundamentals via either look for the big thing is not all trainers are the same. Look for a reputable trainer. Look for somebody that has good reviews, well done.
Please find someone that goes to other training classes and trains with other trainers, not just their own stuff, you know.
I think if I'm not mistaken, you could probably find the old Magpul series somewhere online to learn a few things. But yeah, I would definitely.
I wish people could still go to Jaeger's fighting rifle class.
Yeah, that's another one.
Unbelievable.
And then I can't follow up Haktua. There's nothing that can, follow that up. Why this is just spiraled deep into double entendres.
My journey, my passion.
I bet. Hey, you are going from muff to plug, so.
This is my story, John. This is my story.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah. Scott out there for the beginner is get one gun and learn it. That's great advice. In its simplest terms. And I'm going to kind of piggyback on a little bit what Kyle was saying, what Ginger's saying. Get training. But before you get training, and we're kind of talking about this, I agree with get the one rifle that you want, right? Get whatever dot you want on it. Figure out if you want a grip on there, if you want an adjustable stock. Like, before you try to go and shoot it and be perfect at it, get the rifle how you think you want it, right? Get it set up the way you think you want it. Then you can go get training and all that. But here's the thing. The biggest thing that I could tell you is I like the idea of getting one. Yeah. No matter if you have one or 10 or 100 ARs or rifles or whatever, it's practicing. If you're going to go get training, the worst thing that anyone can do is if you go to a training class and then you come home and don't practice what you learned. If you just come home and just kind of go back to the old mechanics, then why did you go to that training class, right? But there's an old saying that practice makes perfect. And my wife knows this. My daughter knows this. I say it 1,000 times. That is the most untrue statement in the world. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And if you're just practicing without trying to be perfect every time, then you're just ingraining bad habits. So practice. And I say it in all my videos and all my live streams, get to the range and be more proficient with your firearms. The biggest way to do that is just practicing good mechanics, trying to be perfect. I would rather you take 10 perfect shots where all your mechanics are perfect than shooting 100 rounds down range as fast as you can with bad mechanics. Because guess what? Those are going to be your habits. Try to make good, perfect mechanics be your habits. And then as you go, I think as Kyle maybe says, crawl before you walk or crawl before you run. Look, take your time. Make sure if it takes you 2 hours to go through 30 rounds in a magazine at the range, so be it. But if you're going to do that, make sure every round you squeeze off is everything is perfect. Mechanics are perfect. And then as you get better with that, your muscle memory starts coming into play. You won't have to think as much. Then you can start speeding that up. And you don't have to speed it up yourself. Your mind and your body will naturally be able to speed up as the mechanics become part of your muscle memory. So it's just real simple, right? You speed up, and then you can start kind of, as Kyle says, you can kind of start doing cool guy stuff later on. But I promise you, the greatest Navy SEAL, the greatest Army Ranger, the greatest unit guy, Delta Force guy, I promise you, they did not grab a rifle and say, let's go CQB it. They've got thousands of hours of nothing but boring right here. That's it. It's right here. Mechanics. And so I think we all probably agree with that is the proper mechanics, but doing it consistently and really taking it slow. Don't just go and get an AR and throw, your Trigicon on there, your vert grip, and go get and all you're going to do is mag dump it, because that's just, why'd you go buy that? Slow is smooth is fast. I mean, yes, there's a reason why that is like the thing, right? Like that's been around. That saying hasn't been coming around just in the last 5 years. It's been around forever. Slow is smooth is fast. Go ahead, Kyle. You're going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to add to how many hours did we sit there looking at the shooting barrel locked in?
Like literally like thousands.
In the prone position.
Literally like thousands of hours. Just
then you switch to the sitting
all day long.
Then you go.
Then you go standing, kneeling, sitting, prone, and then by the way, I need for you to go switch hands to your offhand and do the same thing with that. And that's something that we didn't really talk a lot about. Maybe that's probably something a little bit more advanced. But for some of those that are out there that are buying your AR or your rifle for maybe home defense or whatever, please, once you get your mechanics down, let's say you're right-handed, right? And you're going to shoot right-handed. Once you get your mechanics down to where there's pretty good muscle memory in that, start over and work those same mechanics offhand. Switch over to being a left-handed shooter. Because guess what? What if you get stabbed or shot in your right arm or whatever, and you can't, do it that way? More importantly, once again, advanced stuff. But if you're going to be a CQB guy, you've got to be able to transition strong side, weak side around corners, barriers, cover, and all of that to do it properly and to minimize your silhouette. Once again, now we're talking in the weeds. We're talking really advanced stuff that you don't have to worry about. But for those of us that's kind of what we did, minimizing your silhouette is crucial in those situations. Staying behind cover as far as you can. And not having, I can only shoot right-handed, so I'm going to lean off this left wall, but I've got to lean out because I'm only right-handed. Now my whole upper torso is outside of cover. Do that, boom. So a little bit of things, but yeah, being able to do everything with both hands, having the same fundamentals, right hand and left hand. I'm not saying to be ambidextrous, but you should at least be practiced and knowledgeable on how to, not just rifles, but handguns also. Doing everything. What if you're stabbed in your handgun? Now you got to shoot your handgun left-handed. Can you manipulate that on your belt, or can you manipulate that slide with one hand? Both hands. All sorts of cool stuff. I know I'm getting the weeds. I'm sorry.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot.
I could talk about this stuff all day long. I feel like I'm probably confusing people. Be consistent. Practice it. Like Kyle said, crawl before you walk, and all that.
I do want to add one thing because we haven't said it yet. But if you buy a rifle, and I know the group we're talking to doesn't have to really apply it that often, but if you buy a rifle, put sights on your rifle. You're going to need those, because I've seen way too many people who are just getting into this not putting anything on their rifle. And
they think that you can just point down range and shoot. Yeah.
I get it. ARs are expensive, and then you got.
They also see that in the movies sometimes, and that drives me nuts when I see movies like, bro, like there is no, like, you have to have something, flip ups or something,
Yeah,
or
hit up
properly.
your friend who's got a. Oh, sorry, John. I'm gonna just go ahead. Hit up your friend who's a builder. He's probably got a pair of iron sights laying around somewhere that you can borrow till you get a freaking optic or something. Or he might even have a red dot, or she might have a red dot or something.
And if not, send me an email. God knows I've got something lying around I can send you. Or I can get you in touch with one of these Chinese companies that will send you one. It's something. It's a starter. Everyone starts somewhere. For sure. Mandatory Cares, I've seen a video of some guy who thought he didn't need sights. Yeah. I mean, you have no idea where that's going to go. I mean, you can walk it in. I think I did that with with the AR-10, didn't I, Kyle? But it took me like 15 shots. It took me like 15 shots, and I kind of know what I'm doing. It took me 15 shots to walk it in because I didn't know the first few shots. Was it going high or was it going way? I had no idea. But finally, I saw an impact, and I started walking it in. But it still took me 15 shots. 15 shots get you killed. If you can't hit a target in 15 shots, you're done. He said he hit 3 lanes. He hit 3 lanes over in the overhead. Oh, April was not asked to come back. That ain't good. All right, we're gonna start sweeping the floor here. Kyle, what's going on for people that might not have been here? What's going on at Anderson Manufacturing? I know you guys have the Frontline series, which is awesome. You've got some new Kiger stuff coming down the line. I know you can't tell us what's going to be maybe unveiled or released maybe around goals, but put it this way, are there some new products that people can look forward to in the next few months leading up to goals and shot and all that season?
Yeah, most definitely. Like you said, Ghost, the Frontline series is right now kind of our newest item that we got. So make sure you go to AndersonManufacturing.com, check those out. If you do need an optic or some flip-up sights, also go to AndersonManufacturing.com. Use the code GHOST or FLR. Save you a little bit there. Go look for us Twitter at Anderson Rifles. Everything else, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn at Anderson Manufacturing. The YouTubes. But other than that, Ghost, we got pretty big deals coming up for the 4th of July here. Hopefully we get out of this heat bubble soon here in Kentucky because
it was 100 today. I didn't check it today. Yesterday it was 103 with a heat index of 113. I know that's like a Tuesday in November for you, John, but for most of us, 103 is a big deal.
My daughter
is not all in Arizona.
My daughter's actually in Arizona right now, and she said it's not as hot as Kentucky feels.
Yeah, because it's dry.
It is a dry heat. Yeah, it is a dry heat. Yeah. So I don't know.
Scott wants to know, Kyle, are the ambi lowers going to be out?
The ambi lowers are something that's in the works. It's in development. Okay. Not anything that we're probably going to see this year, just to be honest.
Okay. But it's something being discussed at least.
Yeah, for sure. There are some things that we got in the works that are pretty close to the boat that I'm hoping to have ready for August so we can unveil them at GOA, but I can't confirm that quite yet. So be on the lookout. Look out for the sale next week, which I'll talk to you guys again before that. But other than that, Ghost, thanks for having me on, man. It's always an honor.
Always, brother. It was a great talk. It was a fun discussion, man.
It was a good discussion. We talked about it offline, but you've got the coolest freaking audience here, man. Like, you really do.
I appreciate it. I love my audience. Why they keep coming back every week for, well, it's been 7 years now. My first video came out in June of 2017, so it's been 7 years. Why these people continue to come to my stuff, I don't know. They are sick individuals, but I love them. They're my sickos, Yeah. They're my sickos, and we all are going to be sick together, right? But, no, thanks for coming on, brother. I appreciate you very much. Ginger, give us a little 2A talk for GOA, and then let us know what's going on over at Fully Loaded Reviews as well.
Yeah, so as you as we said at the top of the show, Rahimi got decided. That was 8-1. Unfortunately, that's a big loss for us.
Who did write the descending? Do you remember who was it that wrote the descent?
Clarence Thomas.
Was it Clarence?
Man. Yeah.
He's my favorite justice of all time.
He is fantastic.
Phenomenal.
So that's a little bit of watering down of Bruin, unfortunately. So we'll see how it affects the lower courts. We'll see. And then we had the Schumer bump stock ban go to the Senate House, and that got nixed right away. Thank God for the senator out of Ohio who blocked that.
Yeah, Scott says St. Thomas. That's the great way of he is not Justice Thomas. That is St. Thomas right there. Very good, Scott. Well done, sir.
So as we talked about also at the top of the hour, we had goals. We've got a bunch of new people signed up, including Gunbroker. We've got I had a phone call with Ed Brown today with Dave Biggers, so we'll see how that goes.
Ooh.
And Foz Tech signed on today too. I forgot to mention Foz Tech. So super excited. They're not too far from you either, Kyle. They're a block over. So
I know we have lunch with those guys all the time. I love the dudes at Foz Tech.
So their booth is not too far from you. They wanted to put their booth right next to you, but they decided to go an aisle down. So you guys are near each other. So Foz Tech is going to be there. Gunbroker is going to be there. Gearhead Works is wicking it up a little bit.
Wicking it up.
So, and then, like I said, there was an unconfirmed LinkedIn post from somebody who may work or may not work for a pony. Something about Pony Express coming to Goals 2024. Let's just hound the company that we're thinking of with hashtag Pony Express 2024 on all their social posts. We haven't done this for a while. Hound Anderson for hashtag Pony Express 2024, hashtag Kiger 10 mil 2025. Let's make this happen. Let's make Anderson great again, even though they've never been not great. But let's pull that out there. Super excited to have Kyle in the. There we go. Make Anderson great again.
Oh yes, is that on the website?
No, we made them for when the CEO came on deck.
Do you have a large left? I will buy that from you.
I got you.
That needs to be worn on Goals. That is awesome. What did he think of it? Did he like that?
Oh, he loves it.
Nice.
Jeff loves himself some Jeff. I'll tell you that.
No, that's okay too.
That is.
And then for those of you who else missed it, we announced our panel for the Firearms Innovation Panel, which is hosted by yours truly. And that includes Pete Brownell, Jamin, the owner and president of Palmetto State Armory. We also have Dave Burgess from Matador Arms, former owner and founder of P80, Adam Renola from Canic, Jeremy Deadman from X-Tech, and the new owner and founder of Watchtower Firearms, Jason Kolosky. So it's going to be a great time. We've got also announced our veterans panel, which includes Trey and a bunch of other awesome people. And we're going to be announcing our 2A Alliance panel here shortly with a ton of great content creators. So it's going to be a good time at Goals. Not only can you go sit in and ask questions, because there's going to be a Q&A session after this panel with Pete and Jamin and all these guys. Not only will you be able to get one-on-one time and talk to them, well, I guess you wouldn't call it one-on-one time, but get to ask them a question. You get to hear what they think about the state of the industry and what is the next advancement in firearms technology. So go to Goals. It's goals.gunners.org. Pre-register for the show. If you're media, go ahead and register as a media person as well. We look forward to seeing everybody in Knoxville, Tennessee, August 17th and 18th. And there may or may not be a Pony Express. Cannot confirm or deny that.
G23 says Kyle needs to be on a panel. I don't disagree with that.
I tried, but I think it's just the two of them. We were going to try to get him on one of the other panels, but there's just the two of you at the show, and I didn't want to pull him away from somebody.
They don't
Okay,
have a
G23.
great.
Now you done pissed me off, G23. He says drop Ghost and replace with Kyle.
You should have a panel of all Kyles in the industry.
That panel is what?
And have it hosted by a Kyle as well.
Ooh, I got a Kyle in mind.
We'll see. Where's
Kyle
it? Also,
or Kylie's, or
So not only that, but be there Friday after the show, or after a Friday at 7 p.m. for Spicy Friday Live with Johnny B. It's going to be a free comedy show. And also, here's the veterans panel so that we know who's on it. It is Eric Blanford, Mike Mills, Crispy, Trey, Tony Simon, and Tim Harmson. So that's going to be a killer panel, too.
That's the one I'm excited for most. I think that's going to be badass.
I have a feeling that you guys are going to have way too much fun up there. I'm going to have to
there could
watch.
Be. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 Marines that I know. It's Crispy Army.
Crispy's Army, but the moderator is Clint.
Me, Clint, Tony, and Tim are all Marines. So I'm sorry.
And then you've got Eric was Army.
Eric was Army. Mills was
Ranger.
Army. No and Navy, good. No Air Force.
Hey, you can always pull Grand Thumb in.
Nut and Fancy said no. So I mean, the panel didn't go long enough for him.
That's what she said.
He wanted at least a short for him is 37 minutes. So YouTube short, 37-minute short. So I know it'll be fun. I'm actually, honored that you would even put me on that panel or ask me to be on that panel. That doesn't make any damn sense to me, but I appreciate it. We're definitely going to have a good time. It'd be a great panel. I'm interested to see where Clint decides to take the panel because you're talking veterans in the firearm community and all that. That could go down a lot of interesting rabbit holes. So I'll be interested to see where Clint decides to take this trip. And I hope that he doesn't try to get people's input ahead of time. If he's going to be the host, I think he should just do what he wants to do or let the crowd kind of dictate through their questions where it goes. I think it could be really interesting where this goes. And I think it'd be a great conversation.
I think that panel is going to be really good. I think the 2A Action Alliance panel is going to be really good. The women's panel is going to be really good.
Women's going to be amazing.
The one with Yehuda on it, the 2A diversity panel with him and Tony, it's going to be good. And I think this industry panel is going to really open some eyes because you're going to hear from Pete and Jamin. That's too big. And then you got Adam with Canic bringing importers in. It's that group of people. It's going to be interesting. We'll see how that goes. And I'm in charge of that, so it'll be fun.
Is Walk the Talk America going to be there?
I think so.
I think. I'm not sure if Mike's going to be able to make it or Jake's going to make it, but I know Rob is planning on being there as well, and he's a board member of Walk the Talk, so he'll fill some of that. We need to get, if Mike shows up or Jake shows up, you need to get them on a panel because they're both fantastic on a mental health panel.
I would love to, but I've got so many panels that are filled, and I've got so many people asking me to be on panels. I just got like 12 emails the other day.
Invitation. We know one person's waiting on his invitation for a panel.
Yeah,
Snob. We're Snob. We'll figure out something for Snob.
We need to get. Well, wouldn't that be amazing?
No,
that's an OB on the panel before.
I think Kaylee brought up Snob at one point, and I was like, I don't know about that.
Snob would do okay. But here's the problem with Snob. Snob's not good in that situation. You would have to worry about him saying anything because he wouldn't say anything. He's in that scenario. He's not a public speaker. He's not. That would be his gig.
We talked about having Kyle and Chase on a panel, and that got shot down real quick. It's because Kyle guy is so
Chase. Chase in general never needs to be on a panel.
Yeah,
ever. unless that's a different kind of panel that you want him on.
Yeah, we're gonna have goals after dark.
Now
I'll
the
say
after hours panels, yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on something like that.
Chase would offend everybody if he was on a panel.
Oh, June is Men's Mental Health Month. I thought June was Haktua month.
It's that too.
It
It has turned into the Haktua month faux show.
She's taking over.
Yeah. No, looking forward to it. Cannot wait to see you guys there. Really proud of you, John, for basically in a year's time doing this. And I know it's not necessarily your baby, but it was your baby. It was,
6 months. I plan this in 6 months. Let's see how that goes. But I forgot to bring up FLR. I've got Untouchable videos coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Untouchable videos coming up. We may re-release the Anderson video because it didn't do so great. So I might re-release it to see if it picks up the algorithm better to help spread the word of the Kiger. I've got a bunch of other videos, and I may have just got something in 6.5 PRC. So
interesting.
That may be coming close to goals. Right before goals, we'll be probably launching that one. So I got a month to go film that content. I just got the ammo from Hornady, so super excited about that one. And we'll talk off air because I want to pick your brain on 6.5 PRC.
I got to add something to that, John.
Yep.
If you haven't gone to State of the Second on YouTube, go to State of the Second and subscribe, because I thought I was already subscribed to GOA, and then I realized State of the Second is now their own channel.
They have their own channel.
It's all click up here. So
we have our own channel. Let's see. Tomorrow's episode that's dropping is with Jared. Last week's episode was with Johnny, and then we've got some great episodes coming up, including with Othias. And I'm just remembering the ones that we just filmed. Othias, Pete Brownell was on an episode, and a couple other things. And I just saw Scott's question. There is a invite only.
Yes, there is technically. There is a range day.
It's invite only for media this year, due to insurance reasons and everything. So that is the thing. And I believe
Yep. Mandatory carry says, can I be at Chase's panel? That brings a question up. Will the panels be streamed anywhere that people that can't make it to goals, can they be able to watch some of those panels and all that throughout the weekend?
All the panels will be live streamed on the GOA YouTube page. We're also trying to decide if we also want to add Rumble and YouTube on that, just because we're going to have new product announcements going on, and with YouTube's kind of restricting handling guns live on stage, that's been an internal talk. So, but yes, all of them will be streamed live on YouTube for people to watch if they would like to watch it. And I believe it'll be the main stage and the forum, so there'll be 2 separate feeds for both different panel talk areas.
Awesome. Love that. Yeah, can't wait. Make sure you go check out AndersonManufacturing.com. Like I said, if you're going to go there and buy some cool stuff over there, use code GHOST or use code FLR. And we don't make a single penny off of it. It's something that Anderson does for you guys to save a little bit of money. You might as well take advantage of it, right? So go check that out. Go check out Gun Owners of America, which is gunowners.org. Go check out on YouTube, fully loaded reviews. Yeah. That's John and Kurt's channel. They do gun reviews and all that. That's their own personal channel. Go check them out. Go check out State of the Second podcast. Great podcast. But yeah, go out there and to support these guys. Most importantly, get to the range. Be more proficient with your firearms. Stay in tune what's going on with the local, state, and federal 2A legislation. Make sure that your elected representatives are doing their jobs. If not, guess what? 2024 is an election year, and we can change that shit real quickly. But once again, get to the range. Enjoy your freedoms of being American, one of which is to keep and bear arms. We'll see you next week. Semper Fi.